What's going on, guys? Today we're talking about a Pokemon that was one of my favorites when I saw it in game, and I think is actually going to be one of my I think I probably should have covered this Pokemon earlier, but I didn't fully understand why that was until now, so I'm doing it now. So basically, this is a Pokemon that I think is really, really good if you are kind of new to this game and looking to learn. I think this is a Pokemon you could look at starting to use. This Pokemon's called Coalossal, and there is a couple really cool things about it. The first thing is that it has a really neat ability, a unique ability called Steam Engine that says when it's hit by a fire or water type move, its speed is raised to +6, which is the fastest you can get, which effectively multiplies its speed stat by 4. So that's a really, really cool ability, which is totally unique to this line. It also gets a cool move called Tar Shot, but we're not going to talk too much about that. And we'll talk about more in a second. There's a Gigantamax form. But basically, the reason why I want to cover this Pokemon is that when you are new to competitive Pokemon, when you are new to starting out in this game, it can be a little overwhelming to try and learn. Like, there's so much going on in this game specifically, so it can be hard to like learn what you feel like you need to do, and it can be hard to figure out like what you're doing wrong and stuff. And so one of the things that I think is really great when you're starting out is having a set strategy, having a strategy where you kind of have like a game plan going in against most teams, and it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to have good and bad matchups, and it's less flexible than a lot of other things, but it lets you kind of like have practice like learning a strategy, and then you can build from those fundamentals. So for example, when I first started playing Pokemon competitively, I used Trick Room the whole year. And when I say Trick Room, I don't mean like Trick Room option, I mean hard Trick Room. Like, I set Trick Room twice per game. Like, I had a set strategy. It was like Cofagrigus, Scrafty, Reuniclus, Conkeldurr, and I used those 4 all year, right? That was my strategy. That's part of the reason why on my first team I wanted to have Beat Up, because even though Beat Up is like a gimmick, of course, it's a gimmick that's good, and it gives you like a set strategy where, of course, if you know how to counter it, it's not that hard to beat most of the time, depending on your team and stuff, but it's a good kind of way to get experience kind of having like a general set strategy, and because it can be very overwhelming when you're picking Pokemon to know what to do. So basically, Coalossal has a set strategy that goes with it as well. I've beat a Coalossal team. I think that video will go up, I think later today. No, I think it'll go up tomorrow. And I might be looking over it with, I have some other people who want to learn like competitive Pokemon who are interested in it, so I'll probably be using this new team that I've built to teach them that. So basically, Coalossal. Steam Engine, like I mentioned, fire or water type move increases its speed by 6 stages. You're almost always gonna want to use this ability. There's one exception, which I will touch on, in which case you could use Flame. I would probably use Flame Body. You can also use Flash Fire. Yeah, in terms of moves, it gets the super cool move Tar Shot, which unfortunately in this metagame looks not that good. It lowers the target speed stat and makes it weak to fire type attacks, so it's a super cool move. I love the design, it's just not that good. Ancient Power is unfortunately its best special attack. Heat Crash is not very good. It gets Rock Blast. Burn Up is cool. Fire Punch, Fire Spin, Solar Beam is relevant. Rock Slide is really good. Will-O-Wisp, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Earthquake, Heat Wave, Overheat, Gyro Ball, maybe, Flare Blitz, Earth Power, some more Steel type coverage moves, Stone Edge, Scald is cool, High Horsepower, and Body Press, and then Explosion. So those are like the relevant moves that jump out to me. It actually has pretty good stats. It's got a really great HP stat, bad attack and special attack stats, but it can compensate for those. Very good defense stat, good special defense stat, and then it's relatively slow. So, yeah. In addition, it has this Gigantamax form. I'm going to be honest, I asked every single person I knew. I asked my mom, I asked my dad, I asked my Twitch subscribers. I telepathically sent a message to Sarah Joe, okay? Nobody knows what this move does. I can't figure it out. It looks to me like it's like Fire Spin, except that it's Rock type. That's the only thing that I can figure out. Other than that, I have nothing to tell you. I have no idea what it does. It looks like it does not trap, and in general, we're not going to be using Gigantamax. Even when this thing is legal, I think it's not that good. I don't think you want to use this. Unless there are very, very specific situations you might want to use this. For example, if you... So the main thing is if you run regular Rock, Dynamax, not Gigantamax, Coalossal, you can set the Sandstorm, which is really good because Sand gives Coalossal a special defense boost, and you can use it to partner with other Pokemon in your team. The one exception to when you might not want to set that is if you had a dedicated team that, or a team that you really didn't want to set Sand. But Sand is really good for Coalossal, so like you probably should be setting it most of the time. Maybe Gigantamax has a place, but in my opinion, I don't think so. let's talk about specific sets. So this set, in my opinion, is the best one. I've added some other ones as well, just so you have options if you don't want to run this one specific thing. But the general idea here is you have weakness policy, steam engine. So the idea is you hit yourself with, you probably Dynamax, turn whatever you want to, will turn whenever you hit yourself with the water move. You Dynamax. And you want to use a weak water move, so you either want to use like a really weak Pokemon like Weavile, who has Surf, that's a really good combination, or you want to use a weak Aqua Jet Pokemon, because Aqua Jet's a low base power move. And so you Dynamax, you hit yourself with either Aqua Jet, which is priority, or Surf from a fast Pokemon, which is pretty good. And then you're immediately +6. So with Modest, you actually outspeed Adamant, Excadrill, and Sand. You outspeed a lot of Pokemon in Tailwind. I think the base 95s you outspeed in Tailwind. Maybe? Yeah. With Timid, you can outspeed, I believe, Jolly Excadrill after +6, which is cool. Actually, yeah, definitely. You outspeed Jolly Excadrill with Timid. I have Modest because it's not very strong, so you want to make use of the power. You could also drop Protect for Earth Power, or you could drop Ancient Power for Earth Power. I don't think you should in that case. I think Stab is important here, but because the thing is, Ancient Power is not very good, but when you're Dynamax, it's a respectable, I think it's 110 base power, so it's not that bad once you're Dynamaxed. Heat Wave, you could also run Flamethrower or Fire Blast if you hate winning, or Overheat if you like to live dangerously, but I think you should run a Heat Wave most of the time. I've tested this out, and in my experience, it was pretty good to have a spread move, so that, like, if you wanted a powerful fire move, of course you could Dynamax, and if you wanted to, like, to hit 2 Pokemon, you could just regular attack. So yeah, the idea here is you use a water move on yourself, boost your speed to +6 and your special attack to +2 in the same turn that you Dynamax. So now you've got a +6 Pokemon, outspeeds everything, outspeeds Excadrill and Sand, outspeeds things in Tailwind, it's very fast. So you have a +6 Pokemon like that, and then you also have +2 in the offenses and your Dynamax. So you basically get to do some huge damage, and then you can try and clean up the game in the late game. It's a pretty, like, it has problems, like Whimsicott and a fast Pokemon, or Whimsicott and a Pokemon that outspeeds and KOs Weavile is a big problem. That's a big one. Or Tailwind, yeah, Whimsicott. There's a couple other problems as well with it. Water types can be really tricky, like Milotic. Water types that Solar Beam doesn't KO. That's a problem, but yeah. I mentioned earlier there was one exception to when you wouldn't want Steam Engine, and that exception is on a Trick Room team. On a Trick Room team, you don't want Steam Engine because you don't want somebody to accident or like to take advantage of your ability and hit you with a fire move to make you go faster. So in that case, you'd want Flame Body or a water move to try and force you to like attack after them. For example, a Pokemon with Aqua Jet could Aqua Jet into Coalossal and then have their partner Pokemon, who is now slower, which in Trick Room is faster, like attack and do something like disruptive. So for that reason, I think in this set you could run a Flame Body or Flash Fire. I love Flame Body personally. Burn is really good in this format. Will-O-Wisp is super good, like way better than it's been since like, I want to say 2012, 2013. It's really good this year. So yeah, the idea here is that Coalossal has Life Orb, Rock Slide for Stab, Overheat for Stab. Overheat's nice because you can run minus speed, so you have like your regular special attack stat, which albeit is not amazing, but with Life Orb and with special attack or Life Orb and then like with the you know high base power move and Stab, you actually got a decent powered move there, so that's cool. And then high horsepower just for coverage. You could run a different move if you wanted. I mentioned some of the other ones earlier. You could totally run Explosion here if you wanted. Explosion's cool. I love Explosion. With Life Orb, Explosion's really strong. So personal preference here. Basically, I like high horsepower because if you want to Dynamax, you can Rock Slide for Sand and high horsepower for special defense. So you can make your Pokemon pretty bulky, which can be you can make Coalossal really bulky specifically. The other idea you could actually run here is you could actually run Weakness Policy if you wanted. So there is a team, and in that case, I think you'd want Heat Wave. And this, I think, is actually something that's really interesting and actually has a lot of potential. So there's a team going around right now, which is Bronzong Rhyperior, and the idea is Bronzong says Trick Room while the redirection Pokemon at the moment is Butterfree gets KO'd, and then you switch into Rhyperior, and you Bulldoze, activating your Rhyperior's Weakness Policy, and then your Rhyperior's +2 and can do big damage. I think Coalossal can actually do something similar, except that Coalossal has an advantage because it's both physical and, like, it has special attacks that aren't terrible, and at +2, it has special attacks that really aren't terrible, and it actually has a good spread special attack move. So I legitimately think this set could work. If you want to run Bronzong, I'm just going to show you, you would actually need to make sure that your Coalossal is a little bit faster. So mint speed Bronzong is 34, as I can show you here. So 34, so we want to make sure, just in case anyone just, like, takes this and just, like, rips it exactly, you need to be at least 35 stats, so that Bronzong could Bulldoze first, so you could activate Weakness Policy before you attack. Again, Flash Fire works here as well, but I like Flame Body. Yeah, so that's a pretty cool set. I think this thing could actually be a decent sweeper in Trick Room. Next up, we have, if you don't want to use the weakness policy strategy, or I feel like so like the thing is, there's one other really cool application of Coalossal that I can't really talk about because it's not actually viable. Because, so basically, let's talk about Lava Plume, right? Lava Plume would allow you, let's say we have like Lava Plume here, right? Let's say we have like Lava Plume, let's just say Groudon, right? I know it's not, like, doesn't make much sense, but like, let's say Groudon. Groudon, Lava Plumes on the Coalossal switch in, potentially burns the opponent and activates Steam Engine without doing that much damage, because Coalossal 4 times resists fire. Then you get +6, and then you could do some cool stuff with fast Coalossal with Tar Shot. That would be really cool. However, the only Lava Plume users are Torkoal, who's too slow to really take advantage of that, and Flareon. However, you could do something cool with Torkoal Coalossal, where you run Choice Band Coalossal, and you do the same thing. You switch in, you have Torkoal, you use Lava Plume, and you switch in Coalossal on your Lava Plume. Give yourself +6. Now you've got +6 Coalossal, and the sun is up. So that's I think it's a really interesting combination. And while, of course, Choice Band isn't as strong as weakness policy, there are other advantages of the set, and you can always Dynamax as well. So this set allows your Coalossal to be a bit bulkier. You could also, like, on a set like this, you probably don't need max speed, so you could easily put more bulk in there as well. It has very good defensive stats, so which is great, because I love Macargo. But its stats are so bad that it really doesn't get much usage. And this is a Pokemon with the same typing, but much better stats, so it actually has a chance. Lastly, I was talking about how you could also run a spec set with maybe these moves if you wanted. Exact same idea. If you wanted maybe Heat Wave, spec set with Heat Wave over Flamethrower or whatever. And if you had it with Torkoal, you could have Solar Beam. So there's like tons of options basically. But specs works as well. And then lastly, we have Assault Vest. This thing has such good bulk that it's really hard to take out. And if you got this in Sand somehow, it would be very, very, very difficult to KO. Sand plus Assault Vest makes Coalossal. It has bad typing, like it's 4 times weak to water, it's 4 times weak to ground, it's weak to fighting. All of those are really common typings. However, there are a lot of Pokemon that it does very well against, and yeah, I think that this set actually has some potential even outside of even outside of anything else. Because you can always set the cool thing about this year is you can set your own weather, right? You have Coalossal in a good position, go for Ancient Power, right? You could also do this with Physical if you wanted, just because, like, frankly, +6 speed Rock Slide is very good, right? Like, it's like Landorus T, except, like, you have to set it up, right? But, like, very fast Rock Slide is so good. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to say. I think this is a super cool Pokemon. It has a great shiny form as well. Let's just take a look at that. Let's appreciate that. And I think it just feels like a really cool. I love the shiny form. It feels just like a very cool Pokemon. So I think this thing has a lot of very cool Pokemon, if you will. But yeah, I just think this Pokemon has a ton of potential. I would love to see it get some usage and get the chance to shine. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know down below which Pokemon you'd like me to cover next. And yeah, keep your eyes out because I will be uploading. I will be using a new Coalossals team, which I think you guys will like. It has Galarian and Weezing as well. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.